Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the January 2023 bullet journal setup. So, for this month's theme, I decided to go for something like an enchanted forest in a way, and I am using cans or watercolor paper. Just for this, I decided to go with watercolors because that was the medium I had, and and it's been a while since I tried watercolors, and I tried to keep the color palette for this particular one very simple, up to 3 colors, a little bit of the fourth color, as you can see, a little bit of purple, violet, and a bit of very green. As you see, and when you mix up the colors, you also get a very beautiful shade of blue. So that was the main idea for this, but I was really worried about how this would turn out because it started out really rough, and I was like, I have to keep trusting the process and I have to keep going with it. Initially it was like, this may not turn out to be as good as I may want it to be, but I just kept going with it, and I kept making it better and better, and kept trusting the process of just adding paint and adding more details as I went on, layering the paint slowly. And I tend to specifically work wet into wet when working with watercolors. I find that to be a more fun approach. I just don't know, that's just how I end up painting more likely with watercolors. But yeah, there are other techniques that you can use. Now, I did have to give the illusion of depth in this painting, which was not that easy because you have to keep it really foggy at the back and a little bit more clearer. But I feel like I managed to get it done somehow, and I actually really enjoyed doing this. And this painting did take quite a while. It took me, this is kind of sped up to a massive amount, I would say. Like it took quite a while to do this because I had to wait in between and also let a couple of places dry out as well, because I didn't always want the paint to be wet at all stages of doing it. So yeah, as you can see, it's like the idea or the inspiration actually came from a video game that I played, and I was like, okay, let's try to do this kind of a forest thing, and especially the colors. And I realized after I had done the painting that the colors are very similar to what I did for my January spread in 2021. No, in 2022, sorry, my bad. And I had used greens and purples back then as well, and I feel like I've been doing the exact thing here, but I added a bit more red to it this time. So yeah, I feel like it was a fun color palette to play with. Especially for this one, I was like, what else can I do? I did want to add a little bit of blue as well, but somewhere that it didn't work out as well, so I tried to cover it up, and you'll see in the layer stages when I added a few more details that I might have just added some flowers. They were in blue, but they were with like pearlescent paint, and they didn't kind of stand out, so I just went over with the white pearlescent paint, which I've used for the moon as well, which definitely the camera doesn't do much justice to. I have to say that the pearlescent paints don't look as great on camera as they do in real life, and that is just something that I can't do much about, but I would really like if the camera could capture those pearlescent paints and the beauty of them, because the moon's shining and glittering, and there's these sparkles. So as you can see, to add depth to the trees, I'm just trying to make each tree darker as I move forward. As it moves forward in depth, it's becoming darker and more vivid in color and brighter. It's not as dull. So yeah, the colors are more vibrant in hue, I would say. Yeah, so that's the simplest way I could think about adding depth to a very quick watercolor painting. I would say, this is quick. Now, I did add a little bit of detail of adding some grass at the bottom just because I didn't want it to look really plain or simple. Now, to add this really crazy leaf texture to the trees, I decided to experiment with something, and I really liked the way it turned out, so I just went with it. And I kept doing it because I was like, I didn't want to show an individual leaf. That was just, it was not about too much work. It was just not the effect I was going for. I wanted it to still look a bit more abstract, but also look kind of realistic. And it kind of worked very well. As you can see here, I'm adding the pearlescent paint. Well, trying to add the blue one, but it's really not visible. And so I do go over it with white, and I'll outline it with like a silver pen. Now, inside my journal, I did decide to do a double Dutch door, like kind of the vibe of like you're entering the forest in a way. And I decided to, I made sure that the each side was just measured and cut like to the exact. Now, I had really fun with this spread because this is something I've never done. It's like breaking out of my comfort zone for the very first time for myself. I wasn't that experimental with my bullet journals previously. I would just keep things really simple, and this year I decided I wanted to take it a little further and experiment more with different bullet journal pages, try out new things that I might like, just keeping up an interest. So this spread is actually my monthly calendar, and I just decided to add these fun little swirls with leaves. These are just swirls I would draw back in my school days, and I decided to add blue pearlescent paint to these leaves for some reason. I don't know, the blue was just calling me this time, and I felt like the colors did tie in together, so I wasn't too worried that it would look too odd. I was trying to keep the spread far more simpler than overdoing it. I didn't want to use too much color as the cover page was a lot as it is. So keeping it simple was the best way to go about this. I did decide to not go with the standard square or rectangle boxes and made rounded corners, but I had a real hard time doing so many rounded corners for this, and I was just like, okay, this is gonna take a while for me to completely get done. And there were several places where I actually did mess it up. In all, I felt this was just a very tedious spread for me to do. I still love how it ended up, so I am glad I put in that extra effort to make it look that way. So I'm really happy with it, but it did take a lot of time, and I'm not gonna deny that. Like I said, this video sped up to a crazy amount to just get this out here. So with these rounded boxes, I decided to add a little bit of drop shadow, but it wasn't too precise. And here I'm just using the same colors I used previously to add in some branches. Now I was like, what do we do different? So I added flowers with my green pearlescent paint, um, which kind of ended up looking really nice, like these few branches, dainty branches with flowers growing, or leaves, as you want to take it. And the spread ended up looking a lot better than I had originally planned it to, because I wasn't going with the plan. I tend to kind of diverge away from it a lot more than what I actually thought in mind, because I was like, what do I want to do next? So, and I kind of had fun with the whole experimentation a lot more than planning it at this point, because yes, the plan was nice, but I feel like it just turned out better than what I had originally envisioned for it to be. And just trying not to add a lot more details, I went in to fill out with dots, but the numbers wouldn't fit in with the white pen, so I just went like with this weird little shade for it. I decided to top it up with a quote, which I felt fit here very well because I didn't do a quote page this month. So the quote actually said, "Stop shrinking to fit into places you've outgrown," and I felt that fit really well with this. Now the next page is actually going to be the planning page or the goal page, whatever you wish to call it. I'm just going to call it a plan for myself for the month. So to the left we have the first quarter plan, and so I decided to divide it into some places with the main focus, a little for the 3 months, and then some focus that would work on, that would kind of divide the bigger plans into smaller actions that I will be taking for the month. As you can see, again, after 2 of those spreads being like really detailed, I decided to just take a step back for this one and let it be more breathing space and more work with what it is. I didn't want to overdo this one and just try to keep it more oriented to what it's supposed to be. As you can see, I'm adding these blue flowers with it, and just as a little detail to bring out a little onto the page and not overdo things from last. I feel this page would probably be a good addition to my bullet journal, and I hope that it kind of works out well for me. It's just something new that I've been trying, like I said. The page next to this one is going to be focusing on more of the January plans in general, like, you know, just the main aspect of things. Now I did divide this into two kind of one bigger section where I would have my main focus, and then divide it into the 4 weeks. As you can see, I just thought the flowers were looking too floaty, so I tied them in with these simple lines, and I'm doing this weird shape that somehow I just like. It's not something very unique, it's just something that I ended up liking, and I thought it would so fit well with the theme, or I don't know, it was something that I found intriguing and I really liked it, so I decided to go with it. Dividing it into the 4 weeks for January. I know there are 5, but I'm keeping it 4 for now. And as always, adding some drop shadow just to add in a bit of the color to the page, same color to the page as well, because I felt it looked a little too bland. Now the next page is my mood tracker. I wanted to do something different as always, and I decided to go with the moon. So I decided to paint like a similar moon onto just the journal paper, although the journal paper does handle watercolor better than a lot of other papers. It can warp a bit and feel a bit patchy, and I kind of like the patchiness, no doubt. I do really like it. um, I just don't see this. So it was just to add a bit of color where I could use maybe a silver pen on it. And as you can see, my um, I'm just using different star shapes or glitter shapes, which I'll be adding on later. Now I decided to draw the exact same lines to divide the page a bit because the next page was actually cut in a page because it was kind of like a tracker page, so I wanted to keep it like a tab more than anything. And I decided to go with these branches at the top, again the same pattern, trying to tie in all of the entire theme together, and not kind of straying too far away from it. I do love how the branches did end up turning out. Now the one on the left is actually my habit tracker, and this page is a little more simpler than the one next to it because it's already jazzed up and oomphed up that I felt like I needed to tone it down on the page next to it. Because it was just I didn't want to do too much for it, although for a little bit of details I did add some of the flowers, again the blue ones, just to add a bit of the color and tie it in, like fill in some empty space that I felt was empty. It doesn't necessarily mean it was empty, just it felt better to just add in those flowers. Now, the tedious part of line drawing, as always. So the page behind this is actually my expense tracker. Again, I've left this page a little simple. As you can see, the tree branches that I've drawn you can actually see them through this page, which means that there'll be more tree branches on the opposite side as well. Now, I decided to keep this super duper simple, add more flowers because it was more of a page that I'm gonna fill up eventually just writing, and this time I decided to go with red flowers because I was like, can I bring in some more color into this and not just use blue? Now at the bottom here I decided to add some bushes and just plants and just flowers, just tying in the whole first theme so that it's still not that plain and it looks like the foresty vibe that you're still in the enchanted forest with grass at your feet and the branches around your head. And I kind of like that. Now this spread to the right is actually going to be my gratitude block. I do want to add in another branch, so I just added some petals floating away with the wind, which was again trying to add not too much to it, and I tried to keep the swirl patterns on this page again just to add a bit of detail, and some flowers as well. Like I didn't want to miss out some flowers on the empty spaces that were left. So I was like, how do I add a little bit of detail to it without making it too powerful? Now I did try to line with my Tombow pen, but I think I was out of it, so I just used my Crayola Super Tips to draw these lines to tie in everything so that the colors kind of blend in together much better. It was the same shade. Now this page is actually my weekly, or I would call it bi-weekly spread. I decided to do something a little different this time because, well, I wasn't too keen on using just the entire thing for the weekly, and I wanted to do a rolling weekly because I really liked it previously. So I made a task list, but for actually 2 weeks, not one, which is why I feel like all of this fit in so well with this page, and it wasn't too much. So I added 2 weeks to it, and I think it would work out just fine. And on the right, I'm just gonna add my second week for the month so that I have 2 weeks at a stretch on the entire page, and I am somewhere I feel like it kind of works better for me. I just want to try something new because I've tried something like this previously and I feel like it helps. And at the bottom, I decided to add a productivity tracker, which is again for 2 weeks. So all of this is combined onto one page. Now, this page was looking a bit too bland, and I was like, what can I do? So definitely there were flowers on these little lines just to add it up a bit. But I was still not feeling like this page was complete, and there were still some things that I feel the page needed to be complete as well. So I decided to add some of the little the same color, but this time I decided to add grass and flowers and make it feel a bit more fuller from what we had on the previous page, you know, just to tie it in. And the empty space was also being filled up in a way. And I was also adding the same red color again for the flowers, as you'll see in the future. Making this grass was not that hard, but yeah, I feel like it looked a lot better than what the previous spread did. It was just to feel a little gardeny vibe, but yeah, the grass is still there and the colors tie in, and I feel like I love this spread. It's just too cute in a way. Now for the final spread for this month is the monthly review spread. I did leave a page in between for week 3 and 4. And for this particular spread, I decided let's not do more trees and let's fall back onto the clouds and the misty, dark, mystical sky. And I went for the moon and the clouds, and I really love how this spread turned out. It's tying in everything from the front to the end of the entire month. Again, I was trying to keep the spread a lot more simpler and not adding too much to it. Again, the clouds were something that I just wanted to add in, but I didn't want to overdo it because it was the final spread. I already did a lot for the previous spread. So this one is going to be working on a lot of reviewing for what January is going to be like, or what it like, just reviewing, helping me plan for the month after, and seeing that I don't make the same mistakes or reminder, which is why I felt like this was an amazing spread to add into and remind myself that what needs to change when I am filling out my Feb spread. I did decide to add a fun little section to this where I added 3 favorites, where one of them would be a memory, one of them would be a song, and one of them would be a read, which could be probably a book, a comic, whatever I feel is my favorite for the month. Again, since it was feeling a bit plain, I decided to add some more flowers to it, just to fill in some of the empty space that was around and not make it look too more like breaking. And now for the final flip through, this was a crazy idea that I don't believe I actually put on paper. It was just something I had in mind, but there it is, me making it a reality. I really love this spread. I love how the colors tie in together, and it's just, I cannot wait to use it for January. I'm super excited about it. And it's really simple. So I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.